Hafide, welcome to Weekend Edition. I'm Tyler Matsinani. Glad you could join us. From 2 facilities to just 1, the procurement is nearing completion to combine the government quarantine and isolation under one roof. Guam Homeland Security Office of Civil Defense spokesperson Jenna Gamindi Blas says plans to open a consolidated quarantine and isolation facility is in its final stages.
We're looking at the bid to be open by October 11th, so that's right around the corner. That consolidation will happen within this month. But in the meantime, the quarantine facility and isolation facilities are still operational, at least all the way up until the bid is open on October 11th.
Currently, the government is operating a quarantine facility at the Dusit Outrigger and an isolation facility at the Bayview. According to Blas, both contracts ended on September 30th, but will remain in effect until the consolidated facility is secured. Since October 1st, 2020, the government has paid over $39 million for the quarantine facility with an unpaid balance of $5.6 million, while $9.9 million has been paid for the isolation facility with $2.5 million still owed. Blas says to date, FEMA has approved for reimbursement a total of $4.2 million for non-congregate shelters between March and September of last year.
But again, this is an ongoing process. It won't be over until it's completely over, but we still continue to submit all of the documentation. The review process is really extensive. We want to make sure that we're counting every single item and making sure that on their end, FEMA is able to review it properly with all the documentation too.
Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Tyler Matsinani. Last year, our regional correspondent Tomas Manglona went behind the scenes with frontline workers on Saipan at the airport just as they launched their mandatory quarantine process.
This is why we're out here. We take the precautionary measures to make sure that we're safe for all of you.
Last June, we went behind the front line at the Saipan International Airport and the Pacific Islands Club Hotel. We got a closer look at the quarantine process for incoming travelers. This morning, we're on the other side of the process, in quarantine. Before boarding the plane on Guam, passengers are required to fill out a mandatory declaration form that asks about your health, travel history, and if you're vaccinated against COVID-19. Once we touched down, we were escorted to hallways where frontline workers verified our point of origin and vaccination status. Then we went on for our first COVID-19 tests at the airport. When passengers arrive, vans shuttle them to one of the 2 government quarantine facilities, Kanoa Resort or the Pacific Islands Club Hotel. We were assigned to PIC. They provide internet, 3 meals a day, and allow delivery of food and other items that are carefully handled by the staff. We aren't allowed to leave the room. The mandatory quarantine for all incoming travelers has been praised by many and receives wide support in the effort to contain COVID-19 outbreaks on the island. Travelers get tested on day 5, and if you're negative, you're released from quarantine. Tomas Manglona for KUAM News on Saipan.
As we previously reported, unvaccinated travelers have a longer quarantine stay that requires a negative PCR test 48 hours prior to arrival. The opening of the second homeless shelter is just awaiting payment from GSA to finalize the flood insurance. During the Interagency on Homelessness and Office of Homelessness Assistance and Poverty Prevention meeting, Executive Director of GATORADE, Ray Tapasnia, confirmed that they have another way to open the second shelter earlier.
We have a second option, and it's possible the property owner will actually pay for the property insurance. And if that pans out, and we hope that might happen today, then there's just 2 final steps, and one is to have the governor sign off on the environmental documentation, and for GATORADE to execute the subrecipient agreement. That's already ready to go. So if payment is made, say today or tomorrow, we anticipate the shelter being stood up as early as within 2 weeks.
Tapasnia said out of the 87 emergency housing vouchers, 19 have been issued and 53 are in the process of being issued. He confirmed that 5 families and individuals have been housed. It appears that excuse me, it appears that the Legislative Education Chairperson is in full support of a piece of legislation that would mandate all teachers employed at Guam charter schools to receive the same certification as Guam Department of Education instructors. KUAM's Isaiah Agin reports.
On behalf of the Guam Youth Congress, Senator Amanda Shelton proposed Bill 161-36, which would require all teachers employed at Guam charter schools to be certified by the Guam Commission on Educator Certification. Legislative Education Chairperson Senator Talina Nelson expressed in an exclusive interview with KUAM News that she is in support of the measure.
I believe it's a reasonable ask, right? Proper certification shows that the educator is committed, that this is the trade that this is the career that they're going to enter.
The original charter school law allows them the freedom from the regulations that govern traditional public schools currently. It was originally authored by former Speaker Senator Judith Wonpat, who is presently the Chief Executive Officer of Guahan Academy Charter School. Dr. Wonpat said that she intentionally wrote the law to not require certification because it's cost prohibitive. Most charter schools on the island voiced in late July that they aren't in full agreement with the measure for a number of reasons, including not having funds to pay certified teachers' salaries, and it may affect their hiring authority. Although charter school administrators across the island are not in full support of the bill, Senator Nelson believes that there is a way to navigate through the measure if passed.
I believe this is something that we can do. We can push to certify our teachers. I believe that it will take some time, and they did create a timeline within the bill, within the measure, which is, I believe, 3 years. And so we just have to navigate and see how this is going to work for our teachers within the charter schools, the equity that's going to be required when they are going to, if and when we move to push the implementation for certification, equity as far as salary, as far as benefits, etc.
Senator Nelson also believes that certification for all teachers will improve the island's school system.
I understand that there is a need to ensure that our teachers that are in the classroom are effective and that they are doing everything they can to give our children an excellent education and academia curriculum that that the school provides. And we should improve our curriculums to start being at the top of other countries and not at the bottom 50.
Reporting for Guam's News Network, Wahusi Isaiah.
17 people were naturalized Thursday in the District Court of Guam. 16 Filipinos and 1 South Korean swore to protect and defend the American values when they pledged their allegiance to the U.S. The ceremony was extra special because October is Filipino-American History Month. Keynote speaker Magistrate Judge Jonathan Kwan from the Superior Court of Guam welcomed the new American citizens, saying, quote, "I welcome you now to our American story. You and your children will now write the next chapters." Get ready to drop, cover, and hold on October 21st at 10:21 a.m. as the island participates in the worldwide earthquake drill known as the Great Shakeout. Guam Homeland Security's Jenna Gamindi Bloss.
So it's good to tune in and actually practice your earthquake procedure. Some people, even schools, they go as far as practicing their evacuation procedure.
The community is highly encouraged to practice their earthquake procedure. You can register for the Great Guam Shakeout online at shakeout.org. On episode 3 of Pacific Matters, we're hearing from Ria Nathrani, a Saipan public school teacher, using her classroom as a vehicle for changing the environment. And we checked in with freelance climate reporter Eva Marin on Saipan on a recent story about the most dumped materials at the Marpi landfill. Here's a sneak preview.
Climate change should be reported, especially in the Pacific, because we all need to do our share in helping prepare ourselves, as all these extreme weather conditions get to us. Now is the time. We all need to do our share. It's not for the government to solve. It's not just for the scientists to solve. Hopefully, in our little reports that we prepare, we get to influence or touch the minds and the hearts of other people to change their behavior, pick up trash, segregate waste, don't harm the corals. So, like collectively encourage behavioral change for the positive so we can all save ourselves.
You can catch the full episode on Monday right after prime time. Stay tuned. Next on Weekend Edition, we have our new Culture Club and still to come sports with Dave Delgado. Keep it here.
Get up-to-the-minute news, plus access to alerts, streaming radio, promotions, and more on your mobile device by downloading the KUAM News mobile app, available at the App Store now.
Guam's auto appearance specialist, Elegant Reflections, has been providing the automotive industry with professional detailing and car care products at its highest quality, from complete detailing, full interior detailing, exterior detailing, headlamp restoration, hand washing, seat and carpet shampoo, engine degreasing, undercarriage cleaning, paint sealant, fabric protection, paint oxidation removal, and so much more. Visit us at our new location. Call 646-5555 for an appointment. Elegant Reflections, Guam's auto appearance specialist, over 20 years of experience.
Building on the past, we at Docomo Pacific Business believe in helping businesses move forward and together, changing the way we get things done to make you and your company reach your highest potential. Trust in our commitment to bring you the best solutions for all your business goals. We are Docomo Pacific Business. Let's work better together.
Welcome back. For this week's Culture Club, our newest inductee is multimedia storyteller Sophia Perez.
Culture Club, brought to you by Harnum.
My name is Sophia Perez. I am a multimedia storyteller in the CNMI, and I also work as a program officer for the Northern Marianas Humanities Council. I started storytelling and telling stories about the Marianas specifically when I began interviewing my grandfather, who was born in Saipan and raised on Guam, and was on Guam in like 11 years old-ish during the occupation. So I grew up in California, and I started interviewing him about his experience, and that kind of opened my eyes to a whole element of my heritage that I knew basically nothing about. So I ended up visiting the CNMI just to kind of learn more about where my grandfather was born, and that was back in 2018. I moved there shortly after, and I've been there ever since. I feel like it's like kind of like if you had like a model ship and a bottle, and someone's like put that in there, like whatever media it is. I mean, I've done like written publications, I've done podcasts, I've done films. So I guess if you think of the medium as like that the neck of the bottle, that's what I feel like I have to do. I have to push the story somehow through there into the medium, and then try and, maintain that same concept, that same shape inside the bottle. So it's kind of stressful. I prefer listening to the story. I started being a storyteller because that was my ticket to hearing the story. When I came to the CNMI, I really wanted to learn about like that community, the culture, and kind of how I would connect with that as someone who's mestiza and grew up in the States. And if I wrote the stories about people, that was my excuse to go talk to someone who I otherwise didn't know, and to be able to ask them about things that are so interesting and kind of personal to them, and they would share it with me because I was a reporter. And then as I got to know more and more stories, sometimes someone would tell me a story and I would start to feel like people need to know about this. I think that not everyone feels that desire when they hear a really good story to be like, I need to make sure everyone knows about this story at whatever cost, no matter how much time it's going to take, no matter how much I'm out of my element in whatever media. For me, it's like it activates a lot of energy. So that's just part of my truth, I guess, and that's part of why I try so hard at it. I don't always succeed, but that's what keeps me going. I did not train. I just started doing it, and I just wasn't good at it for a long time, and I'm building skills. But I think that it's just about putting yourself out there, challenging yourself, and continuing on to the next project, you know, and just trying to improve one or two elements in each new bout of storytelling. I think once you have all of your materials in place, you have to know how to define what's important versus what can be removed, because people do not care as much as you about your story. And so you need to be able to tell your story in a way that is concise and to the point and not go off on tangents. I think probably how much it's a battle for attention, you know, to get your narrative across, and how that battle is something that you fight every second of your story. Whereas if you're just used to telling stories in conversation, you know, you have a captive audience. They're not going to just scroll past you in real life. But if you're trying to make a story that goes online, you're competing. Yeah, you're constantly competing for people's attention. I have like a particular perspective on this because I grew up in the States, right? So coming from that angle and having been in the Marianas for about 4 years now, I can say that the influence of local culture and of knowing some of my family members and my elders on like a new level has been super, super beneficial for me. It's really grounding, and I didn't know it at the time, but when I moved, it was partly because only having American culture to kind of set my values and stuff, it wasn't quite enough. And so I've really appreciated this new group of people who can teach me other ways to see things. And a lot of times, the local way, I think, is healthier. I can say in the CNMI that, you know, perpetuating the culture is an uphill battle. And I've talked to a lot of cultural practitioners who have shared their experience of the culture either seeming to be less commonly practiced, or knowledge that they're worried is going to be lost. Obviously, people want to see the language being used more. But I don't want to downplay the contributions of some of these leaders who really are taking steps to fix what they see as a serious problem. My hope is that one day the Marianas will kind of follow in the footsteps of countries like New Zealand that have embraced their indigenous population and funded the perpetuation of that culture. But I think that, you know, if it's important to people to preserve tradition, I know it's important to me, that needs to be reflected in government funding. And the individuals can take that into their hands, you know, by being politically active. So thank you so much for featuring me. I'm really honored, and yeah, appreciate y'all.
Culture Club, brought to you by Harnum.
Coming up, your sports roundup. You're watching KUAM.
Honey, do you want some milk?
Do you ever wonder how your favorite products make their way into your local stores? Most arrive on state-of-the-art Matson vessels that transport containers of food, household items, equipment, and supplies into the islands every week. Because we know that you depend on us, we work closely with our partners to ensure that our shipments arrive on time, all the time, so you can find your favorite products when you need them. We transport the region's most precious cargo that supports successful businesses and promotes a better quality of life for our families. Matson is proud to have been the hometown shipping carrier for Guam, the CNMI, and Micronesia for the past 25 years, and you can count on us to be here for generations to come.
100% truck, 100% Jeep. Experience next level off-roading on your new Jeep Gladiator. The most capable off-road midsize pickup truck crafted for adventure, equipped with best-in-class towing capacity, legendary 4x4 Jeep capability, and backed by Guam's only lifetime powertrain warranty. Drive home in a 2021 Jeep Gladiator today, starting as low as $315 per paycheck during Jeep Adventure Days. Visit carsPlusGuam.com to get pre-approved online today. Terms and conditions apply. Cars Plus, driven by you.
KUAM Sports Weekend Roundup is brought to you by GATORADE.
EJ Calvo, head coach of the men's national basketball team, also president of the Guam Basketball Confederation. The organization is looking at hiring an executive officer.
Since 2015, we sat down with FIBA and really started working on our long-term planning. And that led to even more success for the men's team, who won the gold medal in the Pacific Games and opened up some pathways to play some bigger competition. And now that we're going through another cycle, there's a lot of work to be done to really capitalize on all the opportunities for not only the men, but our women's program, our youth programs, and also our coaching and refereeing development here on Guam. So really, although we have a lot of passionate board members, we made the decision to finally, budget and plan for a lead person that's going to work full time and report to the executive board of Guam Basketball and carry our plans forward. And so we have some dedicated funding, at least to get started. We feel like we have a good plan, a good recruiting network. And so once we get started, of course, sustaining the management team and sustaining our operation is going to be the key. And so our executive officer that we recruit will be responsible to help continue the work. And one of the big things is revenue generation and working with more clubs and organizations to create activities.
What are some of the qualifications needed for those interested in applying?
Number one, they got to be ready to get to work, get ready to work with various members of our community, from coaches to other administrators of clubs. One of the things we wanted to make sure that was clear is that we're not requiring that you're a basketball coach or a basketball expert. It's more about helping us to grow an organization, helping us to create a membership and grow our membership with our Guam National Program, and also manage our facilities and activities. That skill set does not require necessarily that you know the X's and O's of basketball or that you even play basketball. But of course, there's a lot of passion for the sport of basketball in Guam, and it'd be great if it's always nice that the person that we end up hiring also enjoys being around the game.
For those that do want to apply, how can they go about doing that?
We put out announcements on social media on our platforms. We also publicize our email address, basketballguam@gmail.com, and are just looking forward to seeing more resumes emailed to us, questions, concerns. Just reach out, make connection, and ask more questions. And what we'll do is we have a selection committee that will be looking at all the resumes and prospects. And over the next few weeks, they'll be creating a short list of candidates that will move to the next phase of interviews. And our goal is to move quickly on this within the next, I'd say, anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks. We hope to get through this process and have the right candidate to help us lead Guam basketball forward.
President of the Guam National Tennis Federation, Torgan Smith, here to talk about the Davis Cup team heading out to Bahrain. This is the first time Guam's going to be competing in Bahrain.
First time to go to Bahrain. The Davis Cup venue changes every year, and the Middle Eastern countries are in our group which is Group 4. So we've been to Oman and Jordan, and we played Bahrain. In the last time we played was 2019. We played Bahrain, so we're familiar with the competition, and we're gonna have a total of 13 teams. It was 14 yesterday. Singapore withdrew, so now it's 13.
Camden Camacho, Mason Caldwell, Derek Oklahoma, and Armand Sachdev representing the island. A lot of young talent on this year's team.
3 of those guys have played in previous Davis Cup. Armand will be his first time to experience the Davis Cup, but Camden and Mason are playing college tennis currently in the States, so they'll be, have the match play experience. And Derek has played college tennis, and he played for us in Jordan in 2019, so he's got some Davis Cup experience. So young team, but they all have some good international experience. They played in the Pacific Games, the 3. So looking forward to them, stepping up, and hopefully we'll have a good chance for promotion to Group 3.
How much of an advantage will the host country have when it comes to the surface playing on the court?
Disadvantage we'll have is the long transit time to get there. But the surface is similar to what we normally play on, and the guys have been traveling for their colleges, and so they're used to getting to a venue and getting used to it pretty quickly. It's a hard court surface. We'll get there on Friday night, and we won't start our match play until Monday, so we'll have an opportunity to get a few practices in on the court. We're actually gonna the 3 of us coming from Guam are gonna have a 7-hour layover in San Francisco, and we're gonna go play, have a practice break up the trip a little bit with a practice in the layover.
In programming news, tune into the stations of KUAM. You know how we do it. Catch all your NFL action right here. Monday, October 11th on KUAM TV 11, 3 in the morning, NFL on CBS, New Orleans Saints at the Washington football team. Then at 10:20 in the morning on NBC, KUAM TV 8, Sunday Night Football, Buffalo Bills at the Kansas City Chiefs.
KUAM Sports Weekend Roundup is brought to you by Gatorade.
Don't need a work break, keep the smile on your face. The moments you can't replace, and I'll be around. Whoa, you can count on me. You can count on me for life.
Wherever life takes you, we're always here for you. Calvo's Insurance. Count on us for life.
And before we close out the news tonight, our latest round of birthday shout-outs from the COLDSTONE Creamery birthday.
It's a weekend edition of the Birthday Club, so happy birthday from KUAM and COLDSTONE Creamery on Saturday to Lyndon Moore. Happy blessed birthday to my baby boy, Lyndon. May you have the best and greatest day ever. Love always, your family. And on Sunday the 10th, Raymond Ujoa, happy birthday to my daddy. Aww. May the Lord bless you with many more to come, coming from your one and only baby girl. Those are 2 absolutely perfect birthday shout-outs. Knocked it out of the park, you guys. Great job. Well done. And to Lyndon on Saturday and Raymond on Sunday, we wish the both of you the happiest of birthdays ever.
Remember, you can be part of the COLDSTONE Creamery Birthday Club by registering online at KUAM.com. Please make sure to include with your photo your name and birth date. That's all the time we have from all of us here at Guam's News Network. Thanks for watching and have a safe weekend.